The year was 1492. The Emirate of Granada, the last stronghold of Muslim rule in Spain, had been defeated by the Christian army of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. The Spaniards had finally tasted victory after fighting a war for 11 long years. With the conquest of Granada, almost the entire Iberian Peninsula was now united in the hands of Christian Spanish kings. In regions like Lebanon, Armenia and Persia, the natives had lost their fight against foreign invaders, but the Spanish were successful in liberating their land and people from centuries of foreign occupation. How did the Spanish pull off this feat, and what lessons can we derive from this episode? To answer these questions, let's take a trip in history back to pre-modern Iberia, when the region was ruled by the Visigoths. Spain was one of the first European countries to be overrun by Islam in the 8th century. The Umayyad conquest of the Iberian Peninsula began in 711 AD when Arab and Berber hordes defeated the Visigoths in the Battle of Guadalete, which paved the way for the Islamization of Iberia. Only the northernmost reaches of Spain were in the hands of its Christian rulers. The territory conquered by the Muslims in Iberia came to be known as Al-Andalus. By the 11th century, the Umayyad Caliphate collapsed, making way for smaller Islamic kingdoms. This became an opportune moment for the Christian kings to reconquer what they had lost. The overwhelmed Islamic rulers invited the Moroccan ruler to defend them, and Al-Andalus became a province of the Muslim Empire based in Morocco. Much like how Mughal India is depicted as a society with communal harmony between Hindus and Muslims, Al-Andalus too is portrayed as a picture of perfect multicultural harmony with Muslims, Christians and Jews living together in peaceful coexistence. But the truth was something entirely different. During this time, Christians in Spain were forcefully converted, and many churches were razed down to erect mosques. Christians and Jews living under Islamic rule had to pay the oppressive jizya tax. Slaves were a major export of the kingdom, particularly eunuchs, who were castrated Christian males. Every summer for some 300 years, the armies of Al-Andalus would march north to ravage the lands of the Christian kingdoms, gathering slaves and booty. The discriminatory treatment meted out to European converts to Islam triggered further unrest and infighting within the Islamic kingdoms. The Christian kings, who were devastated by this pathetic state, drew inspiration from the Pope's call for crusades, and thus began the Reconquista of Iberia. In 1085, the city of Toledo, which was the capital of the Visigoths, was captured, and it became the fort of resistance against the Muslims. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, an army of Christian kings pushed the Muslims southwards and was taking over Al-Andalus. By the 15th century, various Muslim kingdoms of Iberia had fallen to Christian armies one by one. Christian Spain was divided among the two powerful kingdoms of Aragon and Castile. In 1469, Queen Isabella of Castile married the Prince Ferdinand, heir to the throne of Aragon, uniting the two Christian powers and bringing the Reconquista much closer. In 1492, Granada, the last Islamic kingdom in the Iberian Peninsula, was annexed by Castile, completing the Reconquista. But the Christians weren't done yet. They began wiping out all traces of Islamic rule in the newly formed territories of Spain. Mosques were repurposed to become churches. Christians were encouraged to repopulate the newly conquered lands. By 1502, Muslims were forced to either convert to Christianity, become slaves, or flee. The Spanish Inquisition, which had begun towards the end of the Reconquista, hunted down not just crypto-Muslims, but also crypto-Jews and Christian heretics who deviated from Catholic teachings, and Islamic Al-Andalus thus became a Christian Spain. The Reconquista came at a time when the Muslim world stretched from the Iberian Peninsula and the Maghreb in the west to Central Asia and northwest India in the east. The Islamization of Iberia and the subsequent Reconquista is a tipping point in European history. It signifies a long-standing clash of civilizations between the Abrahamic faiths. India has also faced a similar clash of civilizations for long, as a result of which the Indian subcontinent, the holy land for all those belonging to the Indic faiths, has been split into three parts. The story of the Spanish is a story of a native population who finally decided to stand up against being marginalized and persecuted on their own soil.